Hello Internet, welcome to Tech Tactics. Today we're building a budget-friendly gaming PC using the AM4 platform, and all the parts are straight from Amazon. I've chosen components that are not just easy on the wallet, but also leave room for future upgrades. But here's the real question, as always on this channel: can this build actually game? We're about to find out. But before we jump into the benchmarks and gameplay, here's a quick word from today's sponsor. The online marketplace for CD keys and software. G2A.com, where you can find discounts on all the keys you need. Before we jump into the performance, let's take a moment to go over the components. I originally planned to use the AMD A6-9500E with Radeon graphics, but it turns out it wasn't compatible with the motherboard I picked. So I'll save that for another video. Instead, I went with the AMD 4500, a 65-watt chip with 6 cores, 12 threads and a boost up to 4.1 GHz. It's a super budget-friendly CPU that cost me around £54, and honestly it performs way better than you'd expect at that price point. For the motherboard, I paired it with the ASUS Prime B450M-A II. It's a solid micro ATX board that doesn't break the bank. It cost me around £76. The RAM in this system is 16GB of Kingston Fury DDR4 running at 3200 MHz. More than enough for everyday use and even some light gaming. I picked that up for just £34. The case is the first player MIKU M.2 It's a simple design with decent airflow and it looks pretty clean. That was only £40. Now the GPU, yeah, I went with a Gigabyte GT710. I know, ancient, but better than nothing. That cost me about £48. For the power supply, I'm using a 750-watt unit from Evo Labs. It's not modular or anything fancy, but it gets the job done for just £30. And finally, for storage, I dropped in a 1TB Crucial P3 Plus NVMe SSD. Gen 4 speeds, lots of space, and only £69. The total cost just over £350. Not too shabby for a budget build, but can it actually game, I mean? We're rocking a GT710 here, so I'm not holding my breath. But hey, miracles can happen. Let's see. Kicking off our budget build game test with a classic, Borderlands 2, released way back in 2012. We're running it at 720p on the high preset, with depth of field turned off and F.E.A.R enabled. The game holds an average of around 30 FPS with 1% and 0.1% lows dipping slightly to 29. Not bad for what it is, but let's be real, this PC will need a serious upgrade soon. F.E.A.R 3 takes us on another nostalgic trip, running at 720p with standard graphics settings, and F.E.A.R enabled. It's clear that older titles are the most suitable for this system. With just 2GB of VRAM, the GT710 struggles to keep up with modern games, making retro gaming the only real option. In fact, calling it a GPU might be a stretch. At this point, it's more of a display adapter. F.E.A.R 3 averages 46 FPS with 1% lows dropping to 35 FPS and 0.1% lows dipping to around 15 FPS. This PC is definitely due for some upgrades, starting with the most critical component, the graphics card. And let's be honest, the GT710 simply doesn't cut it in 2025. If you're aiming to make this system gaming capable, upgrading the GPU should be your first move. Next up, Far Cry 2, a classic shooter that first dropped back in 2008 and still manages to surprise. Running at 720p on high with DirectX 9, it actually looks pretty good for a game that's over a decade old. And here's the kicker, no minimap. You've got to use an old school paper map, so you'll get lost a lot. But honestly, that just adds to the accidental chaos and fun. Performance holds strong too, averaging 59 FPS with 1% lows around 43 FPS and 0.1% lows dipping to 22 FPS. If getting lost is part of the fun, then Far Cry 2 is the shooter for you. Next up, we've got Fortnite, running at 720p with the graphics set to performance mode, which uses DirectX 11. For a competitive shooter like Fortnite, you want the smoothest gameplay possible. High frame rates are key without sacrificing too much visual quality. 720p is as low as I'm willing to go, because anything lower gets too blurry and ruins the experience. Unfortunately, with the GT710, Fortnite doesn't run that great. This is definitely the first thing you want to upgrade if you're looking for better performance. On this setup, Fortnite averages around 52 FPS. The 1% lows dip to 30 FPS and the 0.1% lows dip as low as 19 FPS. Grand Theft Auto 4 remains one of the most iconic entries in this series. Nico Bellic is just one of them characters you've got to love, but the game is also notoriously poorly optimised. So, running the game at 720p on high settings and with night shadows disabled, we managed an average of 36 FPS. Sounds decent on paper, right? But here's the catch. The 1% lows dropped to 13 FPS and the 0.1% lows took a nosedive way down to 11 FPS. Translation: constant, frustrating stutters. Bumping the system up to 32GB of RAM could seriously help smooth out those nasty dips, and at the time of testing, that upgrade would have only cost around £20 more on Amazon. A small investment for a massive improvement in playability. Without it, you're basically stuck in a slideshow. The last game is Half-Life 2. I wanted to see how this system would handle an older title, so I ran it at 720p just like the other games. With high settings, classic effects disabled and MSAA set to 4x, performance was impressive, with an average of 165 FPS, 1% lows at 79 FPS and 0.1% lows dropping to 58 FPS. Overall, it's a great fit for this system. If you're on the market for a budget-friendly PC that can comfortably handle everyday tasks like web browsing, streaming HD videos or light productivity work, this build is a great starting point. It delivers reliable performance for basic use without breaking the bank, making it an ideal entry-level system especially for newcomers to the PC world. What makes this setup a smart choice is its upgradability. There's plenty of room to improve key components like the CPU, RAM or storage down the line. That means you can start small and gradually transform this budget rig into something much more capable as your needs grow or as your budget allows. I'll definitely be taking advantage of that flexibility. Expect a full upgrade journey in an upcoming video as I turn this potato into something far more powerful. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That's about it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'm David James, and this was Tech Tactics. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.